Welcome back, and today we have more flashlight reviews. We have the DL08, the TS26S, and the TS23, all from Wurkkos. Let's go ahead and get started. This channel mostly focuses on everyday carry and things that we put in our bags and cars and so on. A diving flashlight's really outside of the context. Well, kind of. This light, I think, does a lot more. I think that this could also be a really good emergency flashlight. I'll explain why as we go through it so it can make a little bit more sense. But if you want to put it this way, if you have a light in your kit that it must work, why not go with the toughest, most durable, most waterproof light you possibly can that also has all the different functions and is easy to use, right? And then if it doubles as a power bank too, that's completely waterproof, and I mean completely waterproof, then there you go. You have something that is quite an impressive package. And then at less than, I think it was like less than 40 bucks on Wurkkos' website, now you have something that's worth talking about. So starting with the hardware, fantastic hardware, right, for this particular context. So really thick glass lens. We have a double wall aluminum construction, super heavy, really durable. That's what it's designed for. It also has a really cool long lanyard. This is designed for diving, but actually it's a good thing to have in general. It also has a way to mount it to this rillet right here. I would imagine you could probably find a way to also attach this to a vehicle if you wanted to. There's many ways to use it. So good job on the hardware, 5 out of 5. No problem. The next thing we're going to talk about is the beam profile, and that's a little bit more complicated because it has basically everything, starting with a flood beam up to 2,000 lumens, 18,000 candela. I'm sorry, a spot beam. Then you have a flood beam. Then you have a red beam, and then you have UV as well. So you have UV on top of everything else. Very easy to utilize, and it has all the beam profiles. So 5 out of 5 on that. Really easy. Next up is the versatility. It's not going to have the ability to tail stand. That is the only downside that I really see, but otherwise with the various different emitters and the fact that it is completely waterproof and a power bank, this also still gets at least a 4 out of 5 stars, maybe even 5 out of 5. I'll give it 4, mostly because it can't tail stand. Then it would be a 5. As far as the user interface is concerned, it's really very self-explanatory for the most part. If you didn't know how to use it, you could figure it out to a point where you could just, you'll be good. So this means it's in spot mode, and you can set it up while it's off. You can set it up either ramping or stepped, depending on how you want to do it. And here's what's really interesting. Each of the 4 settings are controlled independently. So this one can stay bright if you want to lower this one, or the red, you can lower that as well or make it brighter. Like now it's at its maximum brightness, so I'll keep that at the maximum brightness. And then let's say, let's dim this one all the way down, so it's super low. And then this one will go all the way up till go the other way, all the way up until it clicks. There you go. So that means low, high, and then of course the red is on high. You see what I mean? So there's a lot of versatility here. You can generally figure it out. I really like this light. That's what it comes down to. Just as the purpose I was intending it to do, I think it's going to hit the mark perfectly. It does have an issue in the sense that it's designed to work underwater, meaning that the water is cooling the light. So if you're using it on a maximum brightness, please be aware that it may not step down, and you don't want to run it super hot. So don't use the maximum brightness continuously. You might run into an issue. So that is something of note, but you're probably not going to need to, because the maximum brightness is way too bright for anything indoors. If you're going outside and it's cold out, obviously you're not going to have much of an issue with the heat, and you're probably also going to need it, because it's an emergency, to reach out as far as you can. So overall, I think it'll work great. The USB-C that you can charge the 21700 built in, 5000 milliamp hours, also works to reverse charge. So you have the ability to actually charge your phone, and that's kind of the capstone. That's what makes this, I think, probably one of the better emergency flashlights. It can work as an emergency power bank. Sometimes you don't need a light. Sometimes you need the ability to communicate, and I think that this does that as well. And I feel very confident with the fact that this is rated for 100+ feet of diving, that this is going to stay dry and functional, even if the entire emergency bag is submerged for hours on end. So that is what I'm thinking with this. I'm curious to hear your thoughts. I do think the UI is a little bit more complicated than I'd like. There's something to be said for that. But it isn't impossible to just pick up the light without any instruction and turn it on. The only thing you're going to want to remember is that from off, if you double press, you'll lock out the light. And then in order to undo it, you have to double press again. That's the only major thing to note. Value is excellent here, at least a 4 out of 5. Maybe, you know, I'll give it a 5 out of 5 because it just does so much for the price. And it includes the battery. You have the ability to reverse charge. Yeah, no. 5 out of 5 on this one. Excellent light from Wurkkos. Definitely worth looking at for this particular context. If it comes to diving, well, that's not really my shtick. You'll have to go look at this as from someone who is actually a diver. As an emergency light, though, I think it's a win. Next up, we have the TS23. So this light is definitely focused on use for defense or reaching out and seeing something at a far distance, maybe search and rescue as well. That's the context, I think, where this light gets really good. It's also going to be a good vehicle light on top of it. You have a maximum output of 5,000 lumens, but with a very high candela on top of it, which is the beam concentration of 60,000. So it's kind of a hybrid. It's got a little bit of everything. So, hardware. We have an E-switch here with the ability to use a lanyard if you want to, reversible clip, although I don't think that's going to be particularly relevant. Decent knurling. Not a lot here at the top, so in your pocket it's not going to come out super quick, or you might actually slip off of it. It has really, really good setup for heat dissipation, which it's definitely going to need with this output. No question, you're going to need that heat dissipation. You have a crenulated bezel with ceramic balls as well for breaking glass. I would give it a 4 out of 5. I prefer having a mechanical switch, but I don't know if that's possible with the user interface that they have. The Type-C port works fine for me. I don't mind where it's located or how it's set up, and I've never had any issues with Wurkkos in the past, at least as far as that's concerned. Moving on from there, beam profile. So this is kind of a hybrid beam profile. You have long reach in a center hotspot, but you also have flood. So you have both. And depending on what mode you're using, you can probably work with this up close, and you can also work with it at distance. So it's got a bit of everything. Maybe not as specialized, a little bit more general purpose. Maybe that makes it a little bit better for a vehicle. Now, versatility, once again with the beam profile, it's got a decent versatility. I don't think that the reverse pot clip offers anything like using it hands-free. There's no magnetic tail. I give it like a 2 out of 5, mostly because it's a unitasker. I just don't see it having enough versatility to play multiple roles. All right, and as far as the UI is concerned, it does a very good job. So the UI has 2 different mode sets. You have the general everyday kind of thing you're used to. So hold press for the 10 lumen low, double press for the turbo, triple press for strobe, that relatively normal UI that you've seen all the time. But it also has, and I think this is very important, a tack mode where it always comes in on turbo. Once it's on, you cycle between medium and turbo back and forth, which is perfect. It has still moonlight, which you can use by hold pressing from off, so that works great. So yeah, I give the UI for this particular light a 5 out of 5 in this particular context. I would only, however, leave it in attack mode. I don't think the other one makes any sense. If you need more of an everyday-centric flashlight, this isn't really it. Okay, it's too big. Its button is too exposed. It's going to be perfect set on a nightstand. It's going to be perfect set in a glove compartment or something along those lines. It's not something you want specifically on your person as an everyday. That's sort of the gist. And then the last thing is going to be value. Wurkkos is constantly giving you a really good value for these. If you don't like the price on Amazon, I always recommend checking out their website directly. They regularly have sales and they're usually quite a bit cheaper. You will, however, have to wait for them to be delivered. So just keeping that in mind. Value is going to be great, at least 4 out of 5 stars for me on this one. Not much more to say. It's a good light. I don't think they have many other lights in this category for their lineup, so it's a good filler. And I think there's going to be a lot of people out there that would like it as just kind of a one and done vehicle slash home defense light, because it is stupidly bright. Stupidly bright. 5,000 lumens is insane. And also on the 10 lumen low, you're getting 300 hours of runtime. So it's got a bunch of different uses. I like it. It's not going to be something that I will use regularly, but nonetheless, they have done the job that needs to be done on this light. Next up is a really great release from Wurkkos. This is the TS26S. New design. Lots of things were done right here. Number one, I love this clip. Starts towards the head, then comes up and goes backwards. What that means is only this much of the metal is going to be exposed, and yet you still have access to a reversible clip that doesn't have to be changed if you want to use it hands-free by clipping on a hat. All that stuff is great. 21700 battery, 5000 milliamp hours built in, Type-C charging port, which also works to reverse charge, meaning it's a power bank on top of everything else. It's IPX8 waterproof. The switch has a nice firm press, so you're not going to accidentally turn it on. It passes like a soft tap test, no problem. If you do want to manipulate the button to be in a different spot in your pocket, so you will be even less likely to press it, you can unscrew this slightly, rotate the clip where you want it, and so on. That's basically how you would set it up correctly. You do have a lockout if you want to, but it's not necessary. I would give this a solid 5 out of 5 on hardware. It still has the lanyard spot. It has a magnetic tail that's strong enough to actually hold it up. Decent crenulated bezel, mineral glass crystal on top of a TIR optics. Great, awesome. Beam profile. This thing is all flood. So 3100 lumens, but it's only 9000 candela. Very, very low focus ratio, meaning it's going to be all flood. So once you turn on the light, it just spreads out as much as you can, right? Double press for turbo, very, very normal. The UI on this thing is exactly what you would expect from a side switch flashlight. It's basically the same thing you'll find on something like an Olight. It's the same. And I like that these brands are very consistent. So whole press for moonlight, double press for turbo, triple press for strobe, your normal stuff, okay? The only difference is that with lockout, unlike the Warrior Mini 4, it's a 4 press for the lock and then unlock and so on. Very easy. You also have the option of either doing a stepped mode where you have different outputs that are specific, or you can go continuous where you can find the exact output you want. You could do either one. Very, very cool. Versatility, yeah, it's really versatile because it has the power bank function, because it has a reversible clip, because it's IPX8 waterproof, it's high CRI. Yeah, it's got good versatility. The only thing missing here is the auxiliary emitters that might give you access to a red light. And even then, it's not even necessary. It's hard to say. I don't know if you can get much better on versatility. No, I'll give it a 4, and the reason is because it's 21700, it's a little bit heavy to be used in some context, and I think that's pretty much where I'm going to end it. Value. Wurkkos, once again, crazy good value, right? Very, very good price point, and you can get an even better price if you go to their website, as long as you're willing to wait. Not much more to say. The Wurkkos TS26S is a good release from them. I hope they continue to keep the power bank function as something that finds its way into their lights. I love that. You know, they have a right angle headlamp that does the same thing, and it's just super, super good. This is one of the things that Wurkkos does that almost no one else does. I mean, yes, there's a couple of lights from each brand, but they're very, very hard to find, and they don't emphasize it. This is a good thing. So this light, definitely a yes. The TS23, decent, not bad. And then heck yes to the DL08. 2 power bank flashlights that are completely waterproof, this one being actually a diving flashlight, but with more light versatility. I really like the combination of different outputs that you can use in different colors. But yeah, there's really not much bad to say here. They made 3 good lights, 2 that clearly stand out to me, and 1 that's pretty decent. As always, thank you guys so much for your time, and we'll talk again soon.